Hooray! Hello, welcome everyone. It is Wednesday. It's Woman Up Wednesday, and this is the first in our additional Wednesday shows in the series. We are super thankful that you are here. You are joining us. For those of you who have not joined us on the show before, welcome. We're so happy to see you. Our mission with these weekly and now twice a week updates is to keep you in the know on what's happening not only in CAR but across the country, national economic scene, and of course the Woman Up conference and the movement updates. So for those of you who are watching us live and or the replay, we always love to find out where you are watching us from, so be sure to drop in the comments. Are you on a vacation? Are you watching from the beach? Are you home? Are you hiding in a corner? Where are you? Where are you watching today? And let us know. I am going to share one or two things, and then we're going to go right into Sarah's CAR update and end with Leslie's economic date before we introduce this fabulous woman that most of you here know. The only big update I have for all of you is that we are still on a call for Share Your Story. So head on over to IamWomanUp.com/share-your-story and tell us who you are, what your leadership journey has been, and how you believe that will inspire the community at the conference. We'd love to have your name on our list as we get together to put that content together. So again, IamWomanUp.com/share-your-story. We'll be sure to drop that link in. All right, without further ado, I'm going to drop the mic to Ms. Sarah. Uh-oh, you're muted.
As they say, that was a rookie mistake. Hi, everyone. Hello. Lovely ladies. CAR, well, what are we doing? We are trying to get back to normal. We're transitioning to looking at our Woman Up conference, but also our Reimagine conference, which will be all virtual in October of this year. And our leadership team just decided to do they made the tough decision, given member feedback, to have our board of directors meetings also virtual. I think it's a smart and safe move, especially as you see cases rising in California, which is unfortunate. One of the things that I've been fortunate enough to work on is our fair housing objectives and initiatives. And we started this led by our treasurer, Jen Branchini, back in the early part of this year in January and February, where we started a conversation within our strategic planning committee. And we just came off the heels of a 3-hour plus meeting yesterday. And I want to give a shout out to several people from our Woman Up community who provided thoughtful, meaningful feedback and solutions. One of which is listening. Farah, you are fire. You're phenomenal. You brought such wisdom to our meeting, Farah Wilder. Also, Tawny English, Janet Dorsey, Sabrina Brown, Burton, all gave, oh, and Sabrina's watching too. Hi, Sabrina. All gave wonderful, intelligent feedback, solutions, their story. So that has been a really great initiative to be a part of, and to see the organization take the next step in removing some of the racial injustices we still see in the real estate industry. So that's big, and filling my space and my cup. So that's pretty much what I have for a CAR update. And at this point, we do have a market that's kind of on fire. So Leslie, you want to give us some economic update?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's great to see you. Not a tremendous amount has changed since Friday, but a few things. And I just want to talk a little bit about the spike in the cases that we've seen over the last 2 weeks, because it's thrown this, V-shaped. We've got this handled and we're back in business, at least for the macro economy. A little bit on edge, right? So we saw the 5% drop in GDP the first quarter. We're going to see about a 40% drop for the second quarter that just ended this week. or yesterday, and looking forward, things are just a little bit more questionable. If you have, if I'm sure you're aware that in California, we're getting kind of going back to some stricter requirements, Texas, Florida. So a lot of response to kind of just this uncertain trajectory of the virus, right? There's only so much you can do. Certainly, as we look back, April was kind of the bottom of the market, at least from the perspective right now, and May looked very good. In fact, we had consumer spending up 8.2% in May, which was a huge gain on a year-over-year basis. And we also, although personal income went down a little bit, it was still higher than it was on February, and almost 90% of that was due to the government transfers. So I think we really do have to tip our hat to the amount of relief that was provided in that CARES Act. We saw a big rebound in retail sales by almost 18%. Still kind of challenged on the employment side. The weekly increase is slowing, but it's still way too high. And again, how many jobs are going to come back? Again, that's a little uncertainty. What we know for sure is that the housing market is poised for a really great recovery. And even though it's going to be a little bit uneven, I think I've told you that we're looking at weekly data. So for example, in May, we had pending sales up 2/3, like 67% increase in pending sales. So that, I'm looking for good data in June and July. But I will tell you, as we look at our weekly data, we actually saw in the last 2 weeks a drop in closings, a little bit of a drop in new listings, and also a drop in pendings. And what I take away from that is the market cannot be disconnected from everything that's going on the real side of the economy, right? And given the environment where nobody knows anything for sure, to me, the strategy is really simple. Stay focused on your clients, stay focused on what they need from you, on their needs going forward, and let everything else that you don't have control over just kind of work itself out. Because I think what we're seeing is a market that is responding dramatically to record low mortgage rates, and we're expecting that to continue. It's just going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride. So stay tuned, and I'm sure I'll have more to share next week. And with that, back to Deborah.
I feel like we need to be touching our ears when we're saying that. And now back to you. So much fun. So much fun. I wanted to also give a shout out. Something that Sarah said reminded me of another amazing conversation we had yesterday. And we had about 30 women join us yesterday for the book club this month on white fragility. Kama Burton and Sabrina Brown joined us as guides in that conversation. However, I will tell you, almost everyone in the room raised their hand to share a story, to ask a question, to be bold and brave in that sacred space, to be uncomfortable together. And it was so successful that Sarah and I were feverishly talking about it this morning, saying, we need to do another one. So we're going to do another one. For those of you who missed it, and those of you who were there who want to participate again, who want to listen more and ask more questions, we're going to pull get some dates together with Kama and Sabrina and publish that event very, very soon. Because we're so excited to keep that conversation going. It was beautiful and healthy and perfectly uncomfortable, which is what we all wanted, right? We all wanted to have conversations that we don't necessarily have in our everyday lives. Okay, so without further ado, I'm super excited to introduce Karol. Oh my goodness. Oh! Those of you who were at the event in 2019 saw this firecracker rock the stage in her Staying True to Yourself talk. I mean, it was fire. All right. If you saw her, say an amen in the comments, because you know that's how you were feeling, right? She is the broker owner of it's Cook Properties. Is that how you say it? Coach. Ooh, see, I should have asked that ahead of time. Coach Properties. She's a CPC certified professional coach, chair of diversity and inclusion on PAG, past president of the Burbank Association. Oh man, I loved all of your virtual stuff when you were the president there. Wow. Past CAR director, member director for Women's Council Greater LA, former reserve sergeant with the LA Sheriff Department. Oh my goodness. Multicultural and, okay, she speaks not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 languages. And maybe 6 if you include the language of love. And to wrap that all up in a warm hug, she's a proud mama of a son and daughter. Ah, wow. I love all those bullet points, Karol. Welcome.
Thank you. Now I'm blushing. I can feel my face getting so hot already. I'm like, woo. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be sitting here on a Zoom meeting with you, because every time I watch your videos, you just can't help but elevate, right? You just feel so empowered and elevated, and you want to conquer the world. So thank you for
Who doesn't need that right now, right?
and so I'm so happy. I'm fired up. I may look calm, but I'm like fired up.
Karol, the first question we want to ask you is just, how are you doing? I mean, the past 3 to 4 months have been completely unexpected and unprecedented, and everybody's facing different challenges and handling them differently. So tell us a little bit about what the world looks like from your perspective.
Well, when this started, the first month, I think like probably everybody else, I was in shock, and I was on the couch watching TV and thinking, is this really happening, or is this a movie? And then as time went by, we become immune to it. And I thought, okay, I always wanted a couple of months of vacation to stay home, but I just thought people would frown upon that, like you're taking off 3 months of working. So I figured take advantage and just be home and kind of reinvent yourself. So I went through a lot personally. I think a lot of us have, and not that it's bad. I think we just all reinvented and took a closer life to our lives. And we understand how vulnerable we are. We understand how we're really not in control, right? We're dancers in life, and the stage changed and the music changed, and we need to learn a new dance. And it's all good. I always look at things in a positive way, whatever happens. Although it's very sad, and we're heartbroken with the number and the death and the families impacted. I'm not discrediting that. But in every situation, there's also a positive thing. You have to, I think that being proactive and thinking, okay, what can I do in this situation? This is a time where we look at life differently and question ourselves. How is the next chapter of my life? Do I love what I do? Do I want to stay in this industry? Do I want to start something new? I think we all had time to do that. We had time to reconnect with families and our children. I think a lot of humanity came back, because we had become almost robotic, right? From the moment we wake up, and we didn't stop to smell the roses. And I think we all got a chance to do that. So that part of it I love. I think it's beautiful that the connection, the humanity is being elevated in that aspect, and people always want to share and help and ask neighbors, friends, what you can do. So I love that part of it. But the heartbreak of this pandemic, I'm with all of you on that. I wish it wasn't. But
For
with
sure.
that, I'll stay positive.
Sure. Well, I loved your response to that question, because it's what you said was really profound. Leaders aren't made when times are easy. They're made in times of adversity, and how we respond to things really affects the people around us. It affects our families. It affects our teams. And I just want to know from your badass perspective, because thank you, Susie. She said, all around badass. From your perspective, where are the opportunities for leaders to shine? Like, what can they be doing in this time to really make a difference and make change?
So, and that's a beautiful question. In my opinion, we are all leaders. In my opinion, that every single one of us is a leader. They always say there's 2 people, either followers or leaders. I think there's 2 people. There's leaders and the ones that choose not to be leaders. So one of the things that comes up for me, you know, during my presidency last year, I had a different vision and a mission. It's really my life philosophy. And if people that watch my videos, it wasn't so much to bring you real estate news because that's at the tip of your finger, but to create a connection, this diversity and inclusion, and everyone to come together for the better good of the world and and everyone. And I was remembering this morning in my program book when I became president for the installation, I had the last paragraph. I clearly stated, as soft and kind as I am, there are certain things that rub me the very wrong way, and I stand. And the paragraph was, I'm here to do anything I can for you, but don't ever come to me to honor yourself by dishonoring someone else. And that's pretty much, you know, in today's world, we see this diversity and inclusion, unconscious bias being thrown around. And sometimes we don't really think, what does that mean? It's very simple. Diversity and inclusion is love and respect everyone. Be equal with everyone. I mean, that's been my message all year long. You know, they made fun of me calling me the kumbaya president. But unless you have the heart, how can you have people follow you, right? And there's times to take a stand, absolutely. My approach is always to take a stand with kindness, but if it doesn't go your way, then you can be a sergeant and be firm to get, you know, to get the word across, but to stay good. And I think so. What seeing right now, everyone that's being elevated and educated with the diversity and inclusion. I'm an Iranian Armenian woman. In our culture, I was not allowed to be a broker. I was not allowed to be a police officer. These are not things women do. These are not, you know, things that, you know, it's frowned upon in our community. And I'm sure a lot of different cultures have that. So where even women today don't have a voice, they don't have a stand. And that's why WomanUP is so near and dear to my heart, because I have experienced that. I've experienced racism. I've experienced discrimination, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. So by saying we are diverse, let's embrace all that. But unless you have the inclusion where everyone feels part of that team, right? And if we all think about it, at one point in our life, every single one of us, we had a feeling of not being included in something. Whether we were a child on the playground, whether in school, whether in groups, whether, you know, and everyone thinks that the diversity, or it's around, you know, sex, race, origin. And no, it goes way beyond that, right? Way beyond that. It just trickles down to so many things. And it's just not a good feeling to have any human being experience that. So my motto when I teach my agents or everyone else is, nobody's gonna remember what I sold them, what I didn't do, how I negotiated, but they will remember how I made them feel. That's the one thing they're going to remember. So always operate from that angle. It just comes from love and acceptance. So I think because I was a woman that experienced that, and there were a lot of painful days. The exclusion factor, especially in school, we came here in the late 70s, and that was when there was, you know, the war was going on, the hostage situation was going on. I've got my ass kicked a lot in school, excluded a lot, and bullied a lot. So what I did was I turned all that pain into a constructive road, and not towards a destructive road that, okay, I'm going to do this to other people now, right? So I utilize that to make good in the world, because I know firsthand how it feels. And I brought that into my leadership, and I bring it into my brokerage, and I bring it into everyone that I have contact with. So going back to the question, I'm sorry, I know I went off all over the place.
All good, all good.
Preach, it's good.
I know. And it was so good because I was there, and you say you never met a Mike you didn't love, right? And the Mike loves you because you spit some serious game on that mic. And I was at your installation and I felt the love, right? And it truly is how you lead. And that's unique. I think more leaders need to embrace that ethos of putting the human first.
Yeah.
Above all else. And I love your your comments around diversity and inclusion, I live it, I breathe it. It's one of my core values and passions. But what are some challenges to that? You know, it's easy to say, like, let's include everyone and let's make the table bigger. But I would love your perspective on what challenges you faced and how to overcome them.
So that's a good question. So I created last year, for many of you that know, I sat and thought, okay, I don't want to have coffee with the president Monday morning. So I decided, where is the safe place like in our life, right? So I created in the sandbox with the president. And the whole concept of that is when we were kids, I went to the park and we ran to the sandbox. There was no gender, there was no color, everybody just embraced each other and just loved and played, right? That's what kids do. So that was the mindset behind it. So as you mentioned, a challenge. So the day that I announced it at the caravan meeting, one of the realtors came up to me and she said, in the sandbox, that reminds me of a cat litter. And for a second, you know, of course, I'm human too, right? For a second, I was like, and I smiled and I said, that's perfect. Consider it a place where you can come and dump your shit and get out.
Of course you did.
Better. Perfect.
And I'll never forget that. But so you have to.
Wait. Let's talk about that. Overcoming that challenge. Dump your shit and get out. I mean, talk about overcoming an obstacle head on. Let's just
It's just reframing, right? Just a new perspective.
Yeah. And I thought, okay. Normally, if it was 20 years ago, I might have responded differently. But today I thought, you know, that's a perfect way to look at it. This is a place where you can all come and dump it here, and I'll listen, and you listen, and then we leave. So it rocketed pretty well, and I got to have the honor of a lot of the members that came to me, whether I was at all odd hours, because I wanted to create that safe place. And last year we went through, you know, losing Leah Archer. That was, it hit home, and it was hard. And of course, you know, the things people shared with me, our members, I keep it confidential, but I had so many people that came to me and gave me the honor of holding that safe space for them to share their breakdowns. And I've cried with many, and I've laughed with many, and I've held their hands and they've held mine, and we got together like that. So going back to the question of what is a leader, I think if I label myself as a leader, but my tribe doesn't feel comfortable to come to me with the most vulnerable thing that they have without feeling that they're going to be judged or not heard or anything like that, then I'm not a leader. I don't consider myself a leader. Even when, you know, wearing a uniform and walking around with a badge and a gun, there is no higher power than that on the street, right? It's an honorable thing. It's a feeling that is not even describable when you have such power, but you also have to use it in such a constructive way, such a loving, giving, protective. So I remember, may God rest my mother's beautiful soul, when I would put on a uniform to go to work, she would look at me and laugh, and I would be like, what are you laughing at? She's like, I don't understand. Who's going to take you seriously? You're always laughing. And I'm like, I mean, there's a different command presence because your life is at stake anytime you're in uniform. But so my bottom line is, as a leader, we're not in an era we come from. I mean, we've traveled different worlds and continents, so we know what dictatorship is like. We know, and even back here years ago, we were afraid of our managers at work. When every time the manager was coming in or the supervisor was coming in, right, everybody was afraid. They would be performing. Today, it's a different way of being. I think today we're so educated and understand our manager is not someone to be afraid of. It's the leader that needs to empower you and embrace you and elevate you, because when they win, you win, right? We're a team. If my tribe is not winning, how am I winning as a leader?
Yeah. Well, and I think that flows beautifully into this next question around advice and resources, Karol. I think we've seen over the last 3 to 4 months, we've seen women in leadership, like at the country level, right? Leaders of country who have brought forward incredible emotional intelligence, empathy, and a lot of the quote unquote soft skills that you're talking about, right? Embracing people, creating sacred, safe space for them to have conversations and share difficulties. And we're seeing them rise to this occasion, right? Those skills are really being plugged in. What advice do you have or resources that you've really found the most helpful when people are coming to you? Other leaders are saying, Karol, like you cared for me in that moment. You cradled me. How do I do that? What advice do you have for them?
That's an awesome question. So lately, and I always educate myself, and I watch a lot of other coaches or other leaders, and I like to see their style, their words. We're always learning. Emotional intelligence is a must that we should all at least touch on. If you don't want to dive deep into it, at least touch on the surface. Understand the concept of emotional intelligence. When they do statistics and studies, people that have high IQs or they're academically advanced, that doesn't mean that they're going to highly perform. How many people do we know that have a PhD but absolutely no social skills? I mean, I've interviewed so many people with a fabulous resume, right? Like top notch. But when they sit across you, there's absolutely no emotions. Yes, they have a high IQ, but their EQ or EI is here. So I think by raising this awareness, and if everyone understands that once you have someone in this caliber and their EI is down here, if you can elevate that, you have a very powerful being that can produce better, be a better human being, create a better world. So I think emotional intelligence, that's also very near and dear to me. And it's quite simple. It's quite simple. First, you need to understand yourself, our emotions, right? We need to understand that, we're thoughting all day, right? Thoughts. To understand the thought that creates the feeling or the behavior, and then there's an action behind it. If we're all sitting here thinking of a beautiful vacation, right? It's going to create an emotion for us of happiness, and I would love to go to Hawaii with you, ladies. Just tell me.
We're right there with you, Karol. We're all envisioning it right now, all of us.
Yeah. So those emotions cause us to jump into action, and we take a step. We're going to book the trip or not. Now, vice versa, if I'm having negative thoughts that's creating anger or depression or hurt, my actions are going to follow that. So the first thing with emotional intelligence, I think we need to be aware of us, kind of like check ourselves. Where am I? Where's my emotions? And self-manage. And then you have to become aware of your surrounding, right? And in leadership, it matters. Every time I went on stage, whether at our meetings or anywhere else, the first thing I do is I stand there, I absorb the room, meaning I'm absorbing the people that are around me to kind of see where they are and engage their level of energy, their level of feelings, and you kind of have to work with it. So if leaders, we just have to kind of be in tune and just present. It's really not rocket. I don't want to get into the technical terms of emotional intelligence and the pillars and how the brain processes. I can do it on the webinar for you. I'd love to do it. But just basically be sensitive, be thoughtful, not just to your wants and needs, but to the wants and needs of the person that you're sitting across from or whoever that you're having an interaction with.
Karol, if I could just real quick, something happened to your audio. I'm not sure, like you dropped like 50% of your volume all of a sudden. And I want
that too.
let's
No.
No, it's actually, let's see. ABC.
ABCD testing.
That's better.
Oh, much better.
Yes.
Let me get closer.
Okay. Yeah. This is beauty, like forming beautiful blossoms all around us, and we want everyone to hear it.
It's a new camera mic I bought just for you ladies today.
We're
So
good.
I think that's it. I mean, I talk to a lot of corporations and here and there, and they're so focused on creating a better, of course, every corporation company wants to create a better environment, and they throw in these technical words of, leadership, communication, and it's just, let's simplify it. That's my motto. Let's simplify it. It's just, let's get back to the basics of being a kind, respectful human being. It's very simple. Lesson at, a different, another skill that leaders should have is listening skills. And then, there's 3 levels of listening. One is when I'm listening to myself as you're talking. I got to go get milk today. Oh shit, the dog has no dog food, right? I'm looking at you, but I'm really listening to myself. Then you have the second, level 2 listening, where I am listening to you. And then you have a level 3 where not only am I listening to you, but I'm also observing you and your body language and what your gestures are telling me and what you're, to learn to listen. That's one of the main things, and without judgment, just hear them out.
Carol, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's one of my big things, is just this, all of a sudden when you realize you don't need to listen to respond, but you can just take in the other person, and it takes all the pressure off, and it really frees you to hear what they have to say. And I certainly feel that way even in this conversation. I mean, nobody's interrupting anybody, right? Everybody is listening. I wanted to segue into just the huge subject matter of communication. One of the things that's happened over the last couple of months that I hear all the time is we need to over communicate today. And I think that's true, right? You're trying to keep teams going and keep everyone on the same page and get some innovation going. And the only way to stay on top of a rapidly changing environment is to communicate. And I'm just wondering what tips you have, given that people hear differently, people, effective communication varies from person to person. How do you navigate that, especially today when we're so separated?
Well, I think going back to the emotional intelligence part, we need to manage us first. So in order to be able to understand what you're saying and what everyone else is saying, and we have to be aware, because once we're aware of it, it's kind of managed already. So if I'm aware that when someone's talking, I'm not listening really, I'm aware of it, and I can hear, and we're all, as human beings, right, especially women, we're troubleshooters. So if Sarah's telling me something, I'm already thinking, what's the solution? How do we get right? And she probably hasn't even finished telling me what she wants to tell me. And my brain is automatically trained to come up with a solution. So if I respond to you, you get the feeling that I didn't even hear what you said, because at part A, I'm coming up, so we always want to have, and it's not coming from a bad place. So we kind of have to just really shut the voice down so we can hear. And another thing, what I do, and I practice that with my kids, it works, you should try it. When people are angry, let's say if you're an agent or your employee or a coworker, anybody that comes to you, so when people are angry, they're talking really fast and they're frustrated, right? So all you do is say, for example, Leslie, I'm trying to process why you're angry. Can you please tell me a little bit slower? So when you do that, by them slowing down, they don't know what you're doing, but you're already calming them down, because the body's starting to respond to you talking a little bit slower. And then you'll see that if they were elevated at this level, by the time they tell you in a different tone and you already brought them down. So little tricks of the trade. Maybe you don't want to share this with everyone.
The mind-body connection is real.
Yeah.
I'm totally using that with my kids.
I'm telling you, this works. You should just say, it's okay that you're angry, but just explain it to me a little bit slower so I can understand. And then you diffuse them.
That's a great idea.
I'm going to charge everybody $10 for this free.
I was just gonna say, I think there's a whole lot of law enforcement that need that lesson, Carol. I mean, you could really speak into that. That would be an interesting thing for you, because you have that great background. Because my father-in-law does the same thing. He was a cop for 30 years. He does that. Could you slow down and explain that to me? Now I can't wait to go, I know your secret now.
See, now you can tell. But it really works. It just, you kind of diffuse them without them knowing. Because if you say, calm down, you're angry, that's going to work against you. That never works.
Right.
Never. Yeah.
At the end of the day, everyone wants to feel important.
Yeah.
Just pretend everybody has this make me feel important sign written
Right.
on.
Everyone wants to be heard.
That's it. And that opens up so many doors. I mean, like when I say it's very simple, we complicate it with certain titles or names or labels, and this is the technique. No, just we need to shut this and listen and know that I don't always have to give you an answer. I don't always have to be the solution giver. Just let me hear you out, and you'll see amazing results.
So good. You know, we have a lot of people actively listening to you, Karol. They are leaning in, posting in the comments, and I'm reading each and every one of them, and they just adore you, as do I.
Thank you. Thank you.
And everybody wants to be validated. Yes, Sylvia, everybody wants to be heard. I think that's a beautiful segue into what we want to hear from you, which is your parting words of wisdom, what you want people to remember and to take home with them.
As I always said in my president's message and videos, always be kind, always be giving, always be respectful, and just make others feel good, and that will make you feel greater than how you make them feel.
Beautiful.
I love that. I love that. You know, I want to make sure before we go, Karol, that you share about your power hour concept. That you shared with us when we were originally talking about what the flow for today would be, and you were sharing about how you put together this kind of weekly power hour. I think that that's so powerful, and I want to make sure that we highlight that.
Thank you. Are we going to do that, or I'm sorry?
Yeah. Please share. What does that look like? What does your power hour look like? What is that? What do you do, and how does that work?
So a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was, I've lost track of time day. I just know it's 2020.
Still 2020, that's right.
I was home and I thought, everyone's sitting home, not motivated, fear, we're faced with something that is not just a financial hit, but more importantly, a physical and emotional, right? We have to worry about our physical not getting sick and dying from this. We're worried financially and emotionally. It's you have these stressors all around. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to create and invite 20, 30 people at least to a Zoom once a week. Created a power hour, and that's almost like in the sandbox. You can come and drop your crap there, and rest, and know that you're not alone. Like people tell me sometimes, you have your stuff together all the time, and I'm like, is that what it looks like? Because that's not what's going on the inside. I'm human too. I mean, we all lose our crap here and there. So it's just how you handle it. So creating that tribe, that power hour of getting everyone feeling included and just talking like from the heart, sharing your most vulnerable things and real estate and the family and the kids and the pets and whatever challenges. And when people did that, it was such an amazing turnout that they realized that, oh my God, I'm not alone. Doesn't matter what profession you're in. We're all kind of in the same situation as far as our emotions and the fears that we're going through and the concerns and being anxious about I go through it. I mean, there was a time I thought I'm going to change careers. I want to get out of this. I just want to open up a little boutique where people come to me, buy whatever they want and leave. And, so we all go through it. But that power hour just really, really elevates everyone.
I love that. I have a feeling Sabrina's going to be doing power hour. She's saying she loves it.
I'm going to do a power hour. I need a power hour. I'm going to do your power hour.
Well, and I think that's, that really is the heart and soul of the WomanUP community, is sharing these ideas, because there's someone who's listening, whether it be live today or in a replay here or on YouTube in, who knows, 2 months, that needs to hear this, that they don't need permission to do their own power hour. They don't need to wait to be asked. They can actually do the inviting. And I think that that's so beautiful. That allows more people to be seen, heard, loved, understood, invited. Oh, thank you so much, Karol.
Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Lives were changed today. Ripples were created.
I feel thank you again.
Yes, yes.
I'm so happy that you have brought such a beautiful community together, because last year at WomanUP, it was just, I've seen the baby grow from when you started. And last year it was, I mean, there was fire in the air. Everybody was loving and hugging, and so many connections and relationships. And you just left so fired up.
Right.
Such a fuzzy wuzzy good loving feeling. So can't wait to do it again in person, but for now we'll do it virtually, and
We'll make it
I'm so happy
work.
to be a part of it. Thank you.
Which was such a beautiful segue into the reminder that all of the virtual tickets have been released. You can purchase your virtual pass. Now, last week we shared we have 2 different options for those of you who want to attend the virtual event. One is the general admission virtual pass. It's $59. $59 for 3 days. And there's going to be yoga, there's going to be tea, there's going to be meditating, there's going to be talking, there's going to be breakout sessions, there's going to be content from a stage. All the things that we have done for you in the past in person are being translated into the most amazing virtual process and experience. So hop on IamWomanUp.com and grab your virtual pass. If you want more, we now have a VIP swag kit that comes with a little physical box will be delivered to you sometime in August, because of course, COVID, we can't get into where the stuff is. So as soon as we're allowed to walk into buildings again where other people are, we'll be able to get all of that stuff together, boxed and shipped to you. We also talked to Alicia Mandavi, who many of you who were there last year remember, hosted a phenomenal tasting for us. She has actually been doing virtual tastings the last few months and has this down. So she is working with us to create an experience on the 1st, so September 1st. Once we have her site set up, we'll start selling the tickets for that. So there's A, there's B, there's C, there's all sorts of opportunities that you can find out about, ways to get involved on IamWomanUp.com. So buy your ticket. If you haven't shared your story, make sure you fill out the form. If you've already shared your story and you want to shine a light on someone else, you can nominate a fellow woman to share her story on IamWomanUp.com/share your story. So we'll drop all of these links in the comments below so that all of you can get involved in whatever way you feel you want to get involved this year, whatever your brave looks like. We are here for you. We are open arms and open hearts for all of you. So if you have any questions, you know where to find us. I do want to remind everyone, we will not be here on Friday. It is holiday long weekend. So hopefully there'll be toes in water and sun soaking into our skin wherever we are. So enjoy the long weekend ahead, everyone. Hopefully you are safe, happy, and healthy. Those are my last words. Any last words from you, Leslie, Sarah, Karol?
Karol, thank you so
Wonderful
much.
weekend, everybody.
Shall we
And
smooch it out?
Karol,
Karol, you're amazing. Thank you
Amazing.
so much.
I love you guys.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
so much. Happy 4th, everyone. Be safe.
Happy
bye,
4th.
everybody.
Bye.